please accept. Yep, there we go. We are now going to begin recording. In case it has a pop-up saying that you're being recorded, accept that. Yeah, we will get started in a quick second. So before we begin, I would just like to have I guess actually no, everyone's named themselves the right things, so that's good. I think that means we could probably get started then. So, first of all, I'd like to address that for the people who are in China. So I know, oh, I'm sorry, hold on. I just noticed something. iPhone, I don't know who you are, but if you could rename yourself so I have a better idea of who you are. And also if you could turn on your camera, because I would prefer it if all participants kind of turned on their cameras. That would be nice. So yeah, just do that in your own time. Turn on your camera and rename yourself. And yeah, once you have those two things, then we'll be good. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and I would say probably get started with this. So I would like to first of all introduce the people living in China to the New Year's. So I know that I believe Vivica, Sunny, and Carissa, it is now 2022 for you guys. And it will be 2022 for us soon. So I hope you all have a good new year. Also, I guess, good luck in the next year. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully it'll be better than the last two we had, but yeah, we'll have to see. So now welcome to the seminar. This is going to be a seminar regarding kind of cultural comparison between I would say China and North America. So all of the participants here today either live in America or Canada, or they live in China. But the speakers for today will have experiences living and like doing some activities in both countries. So some might live in Canada, some might live in America, but no matter what, they'll all have the similarity that they participated in life in China. So they'll kind of share the experiences they had and some comparisons that they had. But generally, this will be kind of their time to talk about how they'd like to, kind of talk about what they want to, and kind of speak to you guys. And yeah. So before we begin, I would like to introduce everyone in this kind of case. So first of all, the best thing for you guys to do whenever I call on your name is to introduce yourself, right? Say your name and also say your grade. Actually, preferably just say how old you are, because the school systems, they have different grading. So that'll be a little easier to compare. So why don't we start off down the list with the three of the normal students for this, right? So why don't we begin with Vivica?
Okay, hello, my name is Viveka, and I'm in grade 8, class 3. I'm 13 years old,
Yeah.
and I like dance.
Mm.
And Happy New Year.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you for the introduction. And definitely, it wasn't required to say a hobby, but if you have a hobby you'd like to bring up or a fact about yourself, that makes things a little bit easier. And why the heck would we not do it? So yeah, next on the list is going to be Carissa. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Carissa, and I am in age grade 2, and I, Viveka, and Sunny, we are in the same school, and I and Sunny are in the same class. We are both in we are all both in Guiyang. That's all.
Nice. Can you also say, I'm guessing you're the same age or around the same age as Vivica. So yeah. All right. I guess next will be Sunny. Please introduce yourself.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Sunny, and I'm 13 years old. I'm in grade 8 too. I like drawing and music. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So those were our three students. These guys are here every single week. and they participate in the classes that we have, and basically, they're familiar to this kind of thing. But yeah, so next we are going to introduce, I would say, probably, I would, I mean, well, how about this? I'll put it this way. So we're gonna introduce my my intern, Linda. So they help me out a lot of stuff in the organization. And yeah, so Linda, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? They're also a guest speaker today. I forgot to mention that.
Hello, I'm Linda. I'm 17 years old, so in 12th grade. And something fun fact is I've known Anderson since I was 6.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I don't remember this. But okay, that's pretty cool. It's something I didn't even know. But yeah, that's Linda. Thank you for introducing yourself. Now let's get started with like the other guest speakers as well, because we're going in that order. So why not? Why not? All right. I believe Jiaxu, you are the next person on the list. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Jiaxu. I'm 16 right now, and I'm currently 11th grader in high school.
Yeah, nice. And surprisingly enough, you might think that he's lived here all his life, but you only moved like 2 to 3 years ago, right? You only came here to America 2 to 3 years ago, and
Yeah.
you guys can probably notice he's pretty good at speaking English. Like that's some really impressive improvement. And yeah, I just like to point that out. So good job with that.
Thank you.
All right. So the next person on our guest speaker list is actually from Canada. So I believe they live in Vancouver right now, and their name is Sarah. So Sarah, please introduce yourself.
So, hello everyone, my name is Sarah, and I'm currently 16 years old, but I'm almost 17 because my birthday is in January.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which day?
January 3rd.
3rd. Wow. In like what, 3 days, 4 days, something like that? I
Yeah.
don't know how to count days, but yeah, okay. Well, I would like to say happy early birthday to you.
And I'm also in grade 11.
Nice. So yeah, we got some high schoolers here. A lot of them are older than I am. But yeah, no problem. Anyway, let's move on to, I believe, the final guest speaker. Unless I missed someone. No, I did not. So then the final guest speaker is Cynthia. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Oh,
Hi,
there we
I'm
go.
Cynthia, and I am 15 years old.
Awesome. So that's Cynthia, and they're pretty new to this, so we'll see how they do. And also, last but not least, don't worry, I did not forget you. We have one, I believe, I don't know how to say this, a viewer or like a spectator, Audrey. And yeah, I believe they live in like America or something like that. I'm not completely sure about that. I think yeah, you do. They're an observer to this seminar, and why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself as well.
Hello, my name is Audrey and I'm 12 years old. I live in Illinois.
Oh, local. Let's go. More Illinois people. That's nice. All right. And also, I just to clear it up, iPhone is actually Cynthia's mom. I didn't know that. I was just informed of that. So they don't need to turn on their cameras. You're fine the way you are. But yeah, no big deal there. But I want to go ahead and get started with the first activity that we're going to be doing. So to get to better know each other, we are going to go ahead and play an icebreaker game. Hopefully this takes around 10 minutes. We're not going to take too long on this one. But Linda is going to introduce us to that. And yeah, so Linda, take it away.
Okay, so we're gonna be doing 2 truths and a lie. So I guess we'll just go in order, and then everyone can later vote on which one's the lie.
Does everyone know how to play the game, first of all? If anyone doesn't know how to play the game, speak up, because it's really hard for me to scroll through everyone and check who's nodding their head or who's shaking their head. Anyone doesn't know?
you're just basically lying about one thing and telling two truths.
Yeah, hopefully there's some fun facts. The point is to get to know each other, some interesting things about each other. So that's the whole point. So if you guys are ready, then we can get started. But please, I'm serious about this. If you don't know how to play the game, ask. It'll save you for some embarrassment later on if you somehow don't figure it out by then. But yeah, everyone know how to play the game?
So that means we have to say something, and that we the something have one lie, and the another thing is the truth. So everything the another people should guess what is the lie. Is it right?
Yeah, so you're supposed to say like three things
Oh.
about yourself, right? So for example, I could say like I guess what would I say? I don't know. I guess I could say one thing like I'm a cat person, I'm 15, or and then like three, I've driven a car before. And then the lie would be the fact that I've driven a car before. I've never driven a car, but I am 15 and I am a cat person. So basically the point is to give three facts about yourself. They don't have to, like, one of them is obviously a lie, but the other two are true. So it's a pretty simple game. Yeah, so why don't we go ahead and get started without further ado?
Oh, and
Mhm.
so like for voting, do we want to do a poll?
I would
'Cause
say a poll would be cool.
Yeah.
Except I'm not exactly a genius. Where's the poll system? Don't think we have those turned on in this meeting, actually.
Oh,
don't
I
think
thought
we-
the host has this.
Well, I'm checking on the more options. There's not really a poll. I think it would just be easier if you guys type in chat what you guys
Okay.
what you guys thought was the lie for someone. So we can just go with that. That'll make things a little easier. But yeah, I guess
Any
Linda,
volunteers?
any volunteers, or like Linda can get started with it if that works. But anyone want to step up to the what is the saying?
Plate.
Step up to the plate and get started. We don't got many brave individuals here today. I guess we don't. Linda, you're gonna be our brave individual.
Okay. Okay, so the first one is when I was little, I almost my fingernail almost fell off when I slammed the door on my finger. Second one is I had to go to the emergency room with an ambulance, like ride an ambulance because of a bloody nose. And then the third one is apparently when I was born, I was 2 weeks late. So I had to go through the C-section.
Post-mature or premature?
Post.
Post. Wow. Okay.
2 weeks late. Okay.
2 weeks late. Wow, these are pretty difficult. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I thought this would be starting us off easy. Good luck, you guys, starting figuring out what the lie is. So the first one was that you almost had your fingernail completely fall off because you slammed the door on it. And then the second one is that you almost you went into an ambulance and had to be driven to a hospital because of a bloody nose. And then 3 was the fact that that you were born 2 weeks late, and specifically by C-section.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna put my vote in the. Oh my god, I'm gonna put my vote in the chat right now. I think it was 2 bloody nose ambulance. Take your time to guess. I guess we should I'll put a timer for like 30 seconds just because I don't want this to take too long.
Yeah. Just put 1, 2.
Yeah, what's up?
Excuse me, I think the bloody nose ambulance ride is also it isn't true because as we know, the bloody nose, if you put some ice water on it, it will be well. It doesn't need to go to the ambulance.
Usually not. Also, just in case I don't know if you heard me, Carissa, but type your answer to the chat. That way it's easier to keep track of because I can't really remember everyone's answers. So yeah, just write whatever you thought in the chat. Finger 2, 1. All right.
1, 2.
You guys are cutting it close. You guys have
No
around like 20
threes?
seconds here. Around 20 seconds here, guys. I don't think you would joke about a C-section. Okay, I don't think that would.
Okay.
So I'm eliminating that one.
Is
I
that
don't-
all?
I'm checking right now. It seems like everyone has gone. Well, I think we might be missing one. Nope, I think we did get everyone. If you didn't vote yet, please do so. This because we've got okay. Well, you're out of time now. So,
Okay.
all right. So why don't you go ahead and reveal the correct answer?
The correct answer.
Oh, sorry, the lie. Whatever.
Okay. The lie was number 3.
Number 3, you lied
was
about being
Born
post-mature.
2 weeks early by
Oh,
C-section.
yeah. Usually people don't get born 2 weeks late by C-section.
No, my dad was, so.
Oh, what?
I
That's possible? Okay.
yeah.
All right. All right.
Yeah, but for the bloody nose, it actually did happen.
Oh.
I was like 4, so it wouldn't stop bleeding, like even with like it's been like we had to wait an hour, but it still wouldn't stop. So yeah, and then I had to get my nose lasered to
What?
make it
Nasal.
stop.
Lasered?
Anyways,
Okay. Interesting. Started off with a lot of
Very
violent
interesting.
injuries.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Who would like to go next? Now you had a taste of what this game is like. Any volunteers? You're gonna be called out. Okay, Chris.
Yes, I would like to
Right.
go. The first one is that we have 10 class 10 lessons one day in our school life. The second one is that I like to eat
Whoa.
have some problems.
Yeah, so what was the second one? I didn't hear that.
Okay, the first one is that I have 10 lessons one day, and the second one is I like to eat mango, and the third one is I can play the flute. This is a quite easy one.
Okay, let's see. I'll type these out in the chat, just in case you didn't catch that. But 10 lessons in one school day, likes mango, and then third was enjoys playing the flute. Okay, so I might have a little bit of advantage here. I believe it is 2. The lie is gonna be 2. That's what I think. Wow, everyone's just straight up destroying the 2 right now. Everyone just thinks it's 2. Does everyone have this advantage? Cynthia says 3, the only outlier. Brave play. See how it works. I think everyone went. Nope, we're still missing Sarah. Sarah, you have about like what 25 seconds left to write your answer. Unless you already answered and I skip your answer. It's possible I might have done that.
I think I put my answer in.
Oh, your answer was before mine. Oh, I'm just so egotistical. I didn't even see that anyone was before me. Okay. All right. So everyone has answered now, I believe. All right. Why don't you go ahead and reveal the lie, Carissa?
Okay, actually the lie is the 2. That's true, and because
What?
we have already 10 lessons in our class, 算上乐童 is a special we have 10 lessons. That's true, and I hate mangoes because I can't eat it because my body health.
Yeah,
Yes,
allergic. I
my
think they're
allergy.
allergic.
Yes, I have already said before the last class. And the third one, I can play flute, and I think I can play the flute well. Let me show.
Oh, we got a demonstration.
Yes, this one is my flute, and I have 5 flute in my home. That's true. So the lie is the second one, and most of you guys are win. Good.
Yeah. So yeah, everyone here. I don't know if you guys know this. I definitely had an advantage here. I think Linda did too, because they remembered. But basically, Carissa's allergic to mangoes. Kind of interesting. I never knew that was possible. I don't know what you'd be allergic to in a mango, but that's how it is. So I would say that right about now, I'm okay. I don't know. Linda, should we go for one more person or should we stop here? I'm doing the math in my head right now.
Maybe we could like continue on, and then if we have more time later, we could like do
Yeah.
more.
I think that's safe. Yeah, so this is definitely, you know, we weren't able to go through everyone. I didn't expect to go through everyone, but obviously, we'll just have to work with what we got. So, why don't we go ahead and get started with the actual seminar part of the thing, part of this, you know, session here. So basically, the guest speakers were tasked with coming up with like a few minutes of speaking. They were supposed to speak for a few minutes regarding some of their experiences. They had a format to base it off of. They didn't have to follow that format. Obviously, it's just for time for them to speak, talk about their experiences, life experience, whatever the heck they wanted. Just something that they thought was important to speak about. Yeah, so who would like to get started with the speaking? I technically have an order to it. But if anyone's if anyone volunteers, then we don't have to follow the order. No one feels like going first. All right, and that's very unfortunate for you, Linda, because you're immediately first.
Okay.
Oh,
So, you good?
yeah, the screen sharing is like screwing up. It's fine.
Okay.
Doesn't matter though, because we don't need the screen sharing. We need the camera. There.
So, I've been in America for over 10 years. I came here when I was 5, and so basically I only been to kindergarten in China, so I don't really know much about the schooling. But some things that I struggle with still is like coming from an immigrant family. Like my parents don't really know about the American schools, so they had a totally different education system than I do now, which is kind of difficult because I have to ask my friends for like homework answers instead of my parents. And like, especially now I have to apply for colleges. That's like, they don't know anything about that. And then actually I came to America for first grade, and I didn't know any English. Like I couldn't communicate with anyone because I didn't learn any in kindergarten. But I had to learn by myself, and it was pretty easy because I was still young. But yeah, that was a challenge. And then something unique that happened, I don't think anyone in China would experience. So in 5th grade, we had this unit on Civil War. And so we were allowed to bring to school this like huge cardboard box that like for some reason you could like fit into. So the teacher removed everyone's desks and put it in the hallway, and then we would bring our own boxes to sit in. So like that would be our house for that class, which was pretty fun. But then I remember that day, this really mean girl, she like she asked me why my eyes were like this. Like that's racist. That's not nice.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think anyone in China would experience racism. But yeah, and then what else? anything different in the US from the China school system, I wouldn't really know, but I would assume we have like more freedom than like in homework and like the classes we choose, and especially in high school, because right now I'm taking like 3 art classes, like film and drawing, and also like some like computer stuff, which I want to go into the future. So yeah, that's it.
No problem. All right, so yeah, definitely some interesting takes from some who moved here so early on. Obviously, you might not imagine that they might have lived in China, besides the fact that they're Chinese, right? And that's because if you move here early, you're able to learn the language early, kind of learn the customs. And it's just kind of shows that a lot of cultural differences, right? Like in China, it's possible you might not face racism unless you were a foreigner, because the majority of the population are native born Chinese compared to immigrants. And there's definitely a lot of cultural differences in China when compared to the US. And the biggest thing that I can talk about for this one is regarding the school system itself. China has a pretty rigid school system. And they don't really have that many different classes for their students to take. Like for us, we have tons. We have game design, we have architecture, we have like cooking, we have I think we also have like metalworking, stuff like that. We have basically we have a lot of things to do. We basically, the whole point of American high school is for people to decide what they want to do, right? They can play around with what they want to do, but you know, generally they already know what they want to do by then. But you know, it's still very like very it's got a lot of opportunities for us, so that's the main difference. But yeah, thank you, Linda, for sharing your experiences, sharing some stories about about your life in America, and transitioning into life in America. That's pretty good. So yeah, following that, who would like to go next? Which guest speaker would like to go next? And I'll share the predetermined schedule in case you guys aren't brave enough to volunteer. But basically, this is the agenda. I forgot to share this agenda, but we ignore the fact that I forgot to share that because it's fine. But if no one else wants to go before Jiashu, then we'll just have Jiashu go next. So yeah, I guess no one wants to go next. So I'm gonna go ahead and take it away.
All right. So I came to the US 2.5 years ago, and then I came as a high school freshman. And before I came, I went to an elementary school and in Shanghai, and then I went to the Shanghai Experimental School, which is like middle school and high school combined. And when I was in the Shanghai Experimental School, I like skipped a grade like everyone else in our school did, because that's how our school worked. And then in terms of the largest challenge that I faced after I came to the US, it is probably just adjusting to the new environment, because you know there are many differences between the culture and then the education in China and then in the US. So first of all might be in the curriculum. So in China, as many of us might know, you don't get to pick what courses you want to take until you enter college. Basically, your middle school or your high school or elementary school pick them for you. And then there are certainly advantages and then disadvantages of this kind of setting, because imagine if the class you're taking, maybe it's a math class, it's too easy for you, then you can only stay with it. Like you cannot ask the school to move you into a harder class. And on the other side of it, if it is too difficult, you also have to stay with it. Like the only thing you can do is trying your best to catch up with the others. And then there's also advantages, because in such a setting, you get to have the same group of classmates and teachers, which allows you to, which makes it easier for you to sometimes found stronger relationships with your friends and then maybe with your teachers, because usually in such a system, you get the same maybe math teacher or Chinese teacher for the years you stay in a certain school. And then in the US, it is completely different. It is completely different. You get to pick your own courses as long as the classes you pick fulfill the requirements by the time you leave the school. So this I thought is one of the major advantages of studying and living in the US, because it's often allows you to maximize the benefit you get from different classes. But also it can be disadvantageous because it is sometimes potentially confusing. For example, when I first came to the US as a freshman, I had no idea, because I had no previous experience with such picking your own classes. I end up picking all regular classes except math, which turned out pretty bad because they're all the classes are kind of easy for me, and it was very boring. But I soon got used to it, and then it got better for the following 2 years. And the second difference I saw is between the sport and then the physical education in China and in the US. In China, we had regular PE classes every week. For example, when I was in middle school, we have 3 PE classes every week. And then during these classes, we have exercises, and sometimes we play basketball, and then it was pretty fun. And in the US, at least in high school that I attend, it is very different. Instead of regular PE classes, we have sport practices for a season. And during the season, the practice are they're usually practiced every day, and they're very intense and time consuming. For example, I chose cross country when I first came, and then I thought it would be pretty simple because I heard that it's just running, but it turned out after the first few days that it was pretty brutal because we have to run 4 miles, 5 miles every day. And I was exhausted literally every day after the practice. So as a result, I personally prefer the Chinese approach to sports education because I'm not really a sports person. And then the last major difference I want to share is the dress code, which is probably not as significant as the previous two. In China, the dress code is kind of casual. We get uniforms. We have to wear uniforms, but they're usually t-shirts and then coats, and they're often pretty comfortable. And we get different choices for different weathers. However, in the US, the dress code is really strict and formal. We have to wear, in our school, we have to wear ties and then formal coats and then formal pants every single day. It is not only uncomfortable, but can be really time consuming to prepare in the morning. So again, in this case, I prefer the Chinese way of dress code. And and then also I want to share a memorable or fun experience that I had relating to the school. It was maybe the field trip that I had when I was in the middle school in China. We had 2 field trips, one each year. One is to Tianmu Mountain and one is to Hangzhou, and each of them lasted 3 days. And during the time we had fun activities, and I got to spend a lot of time with my friends, and it was very great. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
We can't hear you.
All right, how about now? So, thank you for the comprehensive response. And I would like to address something before I move on. The American dress code, it varies state to state and school to school. And I'm assuming, Josh, that your school, it might not be a private school, but he might be in a school that has a stricter dress code. As for the ones that, Linda go to, they do have a technical dress code, but it is basically where you can wear whatever you want as long as it's not inappropriate for a school setting. So in that case, it is slightly different, but I get that I know that there are schools, a good like there is actually a sizable portion of schools that do have dress codes in America. A lot of them are private schools. Some other ones are just a little bit more fancy like that. But yeah, that's basically that. So
Your audio cut out again, Anderson.
Yes, we can't hear you.
did I fix it?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, just
All right. All right, moving on. So who would like to go next? How much did you not hear, first of all? How much did I not speak? What happened?
You were good. We heard
The most of it. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. So who would like to go ahead as guest speakers? Who would like to go next? Obviously, we'll just follow the order if no one volunteers. So I'm assuming no one's volunteering. If that's the case, then our next speaker will be Sarah, I believe the only person who is in Canada compared to the US. So hopefully they have some, interesting insight regarding a comparison maybe between Canada and also America. Yeah, so Sarah, why don't you go ahead and take it away? And yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I was wait, okay.
There you go. Yeah, your Wi-Fi kind of froze for a little bit.
So I'm now in Canada and I was born in America, but after I'm born, I just go back to China, and then I have all the kindergarten and elementary school in China, and also middle school, I think. And and when I'm in grade 5, I went back to America for a summer holiday, and I went to 3 summer camps there, and I think that's a special experience. And I came to Canada with my classmates since there's a international program in my middle school, and I have been here for 1.5 years, and I arrived here when I was 15 years old, and I studied in Walnut Grove Secondary School in Lanley, and some struggles here is that when I first got here, I was not willing to talk to the people here. Maybe it's because I was afraid others cannot understand what I'm saying. So as a result, I was very nervous when I first talked to my homestay family. And another reason is that the environment is unfamiliar for me. So, and the food here is very easy, and there's some kinds that taste not so good, but there's also some that's, I think, okay. And I need to say that the transportation here is not so good, because if I want to go to some shopping malls, I often have to take the bus for around at least 30 minutes. And if I want to go to the metro town, I have to change to the SkyTrain, and all the way to there takes about 1 hour. So I think I'm not very willing to go somewhere very far. And a unique experience for me is that when I'm in grade 8 in the middle school, the school once organized the whole grade students to go out for spring outing for 2 days and 1 night. And we set up tents in pairs for ourselves and make made lunch and dumplings for ourselves. And many students just stay up all night in the tent and also talk to the people like in the near tent. And then it's very exciting that the school also organized the great activities. So there are complete tasks in the whole activity phase, and there are many groups projects. So I have a very good time there. And then I think the difference in Canadian school and Chinese school is that the school here usually use marks and the whiteboard, but in China, the teacher use chalks a lot. And because I'm short in the whole class, so I sit in the front of the classroom, and it's easy to stick in the chalks when I'm sitting in very close to the blackboard, and there are much homework to do and many class in a day in China. But in Canadian school, you can choose the courses you want to take, but I think when it's the class is over, it's always like changing classroom time, and it's very chaotic while the 5 minutes. So I'm not very like the 5 minutes to change the classrooms because there's so many people in the hallway. Yeah, I think that's all I want to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm unmuted this time, right? Yeah, we're good. We're good. Okay, perfect. So, yeah, just to address some things, what I believe what Sarah means by the 5 minutes in between time to change classrooms, it's what a lot of people call passing period. It's the time where you have around 5 minutes, sometimes maybe less than that, to kind of walk to your next class. You know, you pack up your stuff and you walk to the next classroom. And yeah, she's right. It's very chaotic. Basically the entire school has a passing period at the same time. So everyone is walking around the school. It's really loud. It's really like you said, it's very chaotic. And it's also incredibly like overwhelming, especially if you're new. So, you know, that's definitely a struggle. And definitely a transition that has to be made. But, you know, I would say I would say that you would get used to it, but you don't always get used to it. It's always pretty loud. But yeah, thank you for sharing some of your experiences. I would say that also the transportation thing is definitely not something that I'm familiar with. It might be because you live in like Canada, and Canada's a really large, like it's got a lot of land mass and a lot of area that you have to travel. So it's possible that maybe the area you live in is not really as populated, and there might not be as many people or something, or it's just something. There's just some other reasons because I don't remember things being that far away. 30 minutes, I don't think that's usually how long it takes to get to anywhere where I live. So I don't think there's any, and I think that's definitely something that I'm not used to. So that's kind of an interesting thing to share. But anyway, thank you so much. We're gonna move on to what I believe is our last guest speaker, Cynthia. So Cynthia, why don't you go ahead and yeah, begin.
Hi, my name is Cynthia, and so I've lived here in the US my entire life, so for about 15 years so far. And yeah, I really like it here. I think the high schoolers, it's definitely more stressful. I think in middle school and elementary school in the US is definitely more relaxing, and it's just a lot easier. And one unique experience I had in China is I went to like a sports camp in China. So I found from my experience, I thought it was very intense. Like when we got up like 6 a.m. in the morning to go running, and then we would eat breakfast, and then we would do a lot of sports, and I think it was around like 10 hours a day. So I think from my experience, the camps in China are very intense, and the camp counselors are also really strict in China, I feel like, because they discipline the kids a lot. And from my experience, they also yelled a lot at the campers. And so I definitely think the system there is more strict. And some pros and cons of living in the US and going to school is I think the teachers are more lenient in the US, more relaxed. And also there are lots of clubs and sports, like you guys said, like lots of options in after school activities. So yeah, that's very diverse, I feel like, and I think that's pretty much it.
All right. Appreciated response. Definitely something that I can relate to a lot. So yeah, so like the largest thing is I don't actually know what happened. Like I've never done a sports camp or whatever, even in like English in like not in English and in America itself. And I've certainly never done one in China. So that's definitely kind of something that I don't know is kind of unique, right? So that I'm glad you brought that up. I don't know how many of you guys did something like that. But honestly, that sounds kind of fun, but also waking up 6 a.m. kind of intense. But yeah, definitely a lot of the things that you said I would agree with. And generally pretty relatable. So that is going to kind of end it for our guest speakers. The next part was supposed to be kind of for the Chinese students to kind of talk about some of their experiences. So if they have any thoughts, you can quickly kind of bring it up. So yeah, Vivica, Carissa, Sonny, you guys have any thoughts regarding anything you want to bring up, right?
So as you guys say, you have many clubs in your free time. So do you have to pay money for this club, or is it just
By the way, I'm not gonna answer this for you guys. I could, but I'm gonna let these guest speakers do it for me. Anyone willing to answer?
mhm.
All right, you get one free pass. Next time I'm calling on one of you guys, okay, to answer. All right, so I'll answer this one for you. It depends on the school. Some clubs, they might have fees because, you know, you're doing something a little expensive, and you know, something like that. Like for example, a cooking club, right? If you go there, you're using up resources and like food. So obviously you might have to pay some stuff for that. But in general, most clubs in America, I would say, don't really require money to participate. They're, you know, purely for the student's sake to kind of, you know, engage in school activities and kind of, it's really just to promote school spirit and for them to do something fun. And that's totally cool. So the clubs are not generally, you know, they don't usually cost anything. So hopefully that answers your question. Carissa, Sunny, you guys got any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
How many students do a class have in American school?
American school. Okay. Why don't we have Cynthia answer that question? Like I said, I'm not giving any more freebies. You already used yours.
So I think it depends. So I go to like a public school in Illinois, and so our school has around 2,700 students, but that really depends. Private schools tend to have less students, because I think the parents pay more money for the teachers, for like the students and teachers to have like more a closer connection and just more one-on-one teaching and learning. So it could vary from 300 kids in one grade to 4,000.
Yeah, it's definitely true. So, you know, again, depends on which grade it is. If you're in a college, then it's going to be a few thousand per grade, probably. Um, but if you mean one class itself, then basically you're going to see around, I would say around 25 people per class is an accurate estimate. Some PE classes, physical education classes, are generally going to be a little bit larger because you know it's a big gym, so they can handle that. Regarding private schools, I like how you brought that up, Cynthia, because we actually have someone that goes to a private school. Diash, you go to a private school. How many people do you have in each class? So like, you know, how many people are in your school, first of all?
So there's like in the high school there's like 150 people per grade, I believe. And then in the individual classroom, there's typically 10 to 15 per persons per class.
Okay, well, that's definitely a lot different compared to a American public school. We have like half the amount of people you have in each classroom, and probably around double the amount per grade as well. So you're definitely right, Cynthia. They definitely do have a lot less people, but like you said, it helps build more better educational connections, and you get more of that, you know, better teacher to student interactions that really makes learning a lot easier. So definitely correct. Nice job on that one. So anyone else have any questions? Vivica, Krissa, Sunny, Vivica, you got a question or anything for speakers?
Yes, I have a question.
Mhm.
Excuse me, how much time do you have between one lesson to and other lesson?
So do you mean that like how long each lesson lasts, or like in between the time to travel?
Between is
Okay.
the rest.
So yeah, basically they're asking for passing period. How long does that last? Why don't we have Sarah? Why don't you answer that one? You were being a little quiet.
So there's 5 minutes between two classes, and I think because of the COVID, so the class system here just changed. And then last year we have the quarter system, so we have 8 classes for a school year. So we have 2 in a term, and then this year we just have 4 classes a day, and there's a changing period for like the other 4 classes. But like the 5 minutes between two classes, I think it's very just hard for us to go to another one if the classroom is very far from the next one.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely true, right? So it really depends, but generally you're gonna get around 5 minutes. I think some schools maybe add a little bit more or take a little
5
bit
minutes.
to travel in between classes. Not like one whole class, but the schools we get around 5 minutes to travel from one classroom to another classroom. I'm not saying our lessons are that short. They are usually around, you know, I would say 40 minutes to an hour per lesson. I don't exactly know how long they always are, but they change. But so in case that was what you're asking, then yeah, that would be it would be 5 minutes. Um, but yeah, so that is going to be kind of that's gonna kind of summarize up like, you know, passing period there. But yeah, so guys, students in China, Vivica, Sunny, and Krissa, any other questions, right? It doesn't just have to be one question. Any other questions?
Mm, how do you eat lunch at school? Anderson had already told us in the last lesson. He says that you have whole hours in your lunchtime. So I want to ask you, what do you eat in your lunchtime, and do you bring your food to school, or you just eat the school food at the school dining hall?
That's a good question. Who would like to answer it? Don't make me call on you. A call of shame. All right, I guess I got to call on someone. I would actually like to hear Jiashu's perspective on this because he goes to a private school. Maybe they do it differently. I'd like to hear that.
Yeah, we have in our school we have a cafeteria, and then there's lunch served there every day, and we have 30 minutes each day to go to lunch. And I thought the food is pretty good. And then now because of COVID, instead of everybody going to the cafeteria, the lunch is like delivered. Last year it was delivered to the classroom, and this year the student has to go like class by class to go there and pick up the lunch and then go back to classroom to eat it.
Okay, that's definitely certainly different. And also, I will say that you call your food there good. I would call public school food not good. And it makes sense. It's a private school. I would assume that they're giving you better food. So that makes sense. And also definitely a new perspective on that. Never heard of a private school's like I didn't know that private schools had cafeterias. I guess they should have, but never really thought about that. All right, so thank you for answering. What?
Uh,
Sorry.
excuse, Sunny, or okay, Sunny, you can go.
I think Sunny wants to get. Sunny, go ahead. Do you have a question, or were you just unmuted?
I have no question.
Oh, you were just unmuted. Okay. Krista, your question then?
Okay, Jiaxu, you said your class bring each the lunch into your classroom. So I want to ask, do you everyone in your school eat the same lunch?
Yeah, in our school, typically people eat the school lunch, so we have the same lunch. Like everyone in the high school have the same lunch.
Okay, that's
Mm.
the same as we do. The students in China have also, the whole school have eat the same lunch. And the lunch in China, in our school is terrible.
Yeah, I did experience that. I agree with you.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I'm just a little curious. What are some of the what do they serve in like the cafeteria in private school? I need to know what we're losing, what we're missing out on for being in a public school.
Like some of the good ones, in my opinion, are maybe the pasta, the chicken tenders, and sometimes the tacos, burritos, the nachos, something like that.
Not bad. They must do it better than us because we kind of get the same thing and it's really lackluster, man. I don't know what they're doing better than the public schools, probably just putting more funding into actually feeding their kids. But that's just how it is. So one last question before we head out, that I want to ask personally for all of our guest speakers today. If you had the possibility to change or stay the same, would you rather go back to school in China, or would you rather stay here in America? Just a quick, yes or no. Sorry, not a yes or no. It's not a yes or no question, but just a quick, answer, and then tell me like a quick reason why you prefer it. So let's start off with Linda.
Okay. I guess I would stay here mostly because I know the school system better, but I heard that the academics in China is very tough. So yeah.
And yeah, that's for sure. That's probably why I would stay here is because China academics seems really scary. And more props to you guys in China for sticking with that because that's pretty hard. The next person, Xiaxu, why don't you go ahead and answer? Would you rather stay in American public school or would you go back to China?
This is sort of a hard decision for me to make, but I will probably stay here. Although I know the Chinese culture better, but I just think that the educational resource is more abundant in the US.
Yeah, that's again, I can't like there's nothing wrong with school in China, but I do think that the amount of resources that America really like a lot of unique resources, right? They build specifically classrooms for a specific topic. They make like labs and they make workshops for students to, do mechanic stuff. It's pretty awesome. And that's definitely one of the pros I would say of America. All right, next, I believe it is Sarah. You're the only person that lives in Canada in Vancouver, would you stay in a Vancouver school when compared to China?
I think I will stay here because every day in China there will be at least 7 classes per day, and then there were homework for each class. But here you just need to be like focused on less classes, so you can like more focus on the classes than in China, and China has more homework to do.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest deciding factors is that we don't like to work. But yeah. All right. So last but not least, we have Cynthia. Cynthia, what is your opinion? Would you rather stay here, or would you possibly think of going back to China and doing some of that?
I think I would prefer to stay here because I've actually heard of like China's college exam, and I've heard how it's like the most important exam for like college, and I've also heard people who haven't done well in the exam and how they had to repeat another year of high school because I just heard that they really put an emphasis on this exam.
Yeah, I'd like to address that as well. I've heard that, like, this is according to my mom, is that people who took the Chinese like college entry exam or whatever, I don't know what the name of it is, I'm sorry, but apparently it was so traumatizing that they would like have nightmares about it and they would cry in those nightmares. Don't know if that's true, but that sounds really, really scary. But yeah, thank you again for your input. And so I would just like to summarize this, right? All of you guys chose to stay in America, and that doesn't mean that America is like always going to be better. It's just that people have different preferences, right? For straight up academics, for the content itself and the learning, like that you get and the education that you get, China is probably superior just because of the amount of effort, the amount of dedication those students have to put in. But it really shows, right? That's how they're able to really shine and be a really educated worker in society. So definitely this should kind of give you input, right, into what you want in your life, right? So America, we have more educational opportunities because we're able to, try things out. We're able to try things out at an earlier age to determine what we'd like to do. And that's really one of the biggest deciding factors, as you can see. And there are a lot of things that go into why people choose different places to go. But there's always, there's clearly a reason why you guys moved to America, right? It's not because it's defined by the cafeterias being terrible or defined by the fact that our everything else, like our economy, political system, culture is like weird. Sometimes people are racist. You know it really just kind of shows that there is a reason to come here and a reason to stay here. So obviously keep that in mind. Krissa, Sunny, and Vivica, I hope you guys enjoyed the seminar, and I'd like to thank everyone who participated in it, including, the students, for doing so. So I will say that that is a great way to end off the new year and end off the new year, end off this year. So I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful new year. Does anyone have any last comments, like, last minute comments, thoughts, or questions for me or anyone else? No? If that's the case, then I will, oh, Sunny.
Yes, I want to know if you have the like PE test in your school.
Oh, okay. Anyone want to answer that one? Actually, Linda, Linda, you haven't answered any.
The
So,
PE test, or wait, what was it?
I think they're talking about like a physical education test, so like,
Oh.
fitness testing, maybe.
We don't have actual like written
No
tests.
written tests.
For like, we have grades. Like, the teacher would grade you by like participation and like how well you do, every day. But regarding tests, it's not very, like, it's not a big part of your grade. It's more like just to see how healthy you are. So there's the fitness gram pacer test, the crunch.
Aerobic
So like, it basically tests your stamina, how long you can run, like how good your heart is, and how well your flexibility is, and how well your muscular strength is.
Yeah. So no written tests, Sunny, but we do have like, okay, so these tests aren't for a grade. That's what Linda said, but they're really just to show improvement. They're just a gauge for how well you've improved. That's the whole point of that. So, Sunny, do you have written tests? This is just a question I want to ask. Like, is it pencil and paper, or is it like you run around?
Pardon?
Do you like for your do you guys have physical tests, like, you know, PE test?
Yes, we have to play basketball and we have to run for 800 meters, and the teachers will time us, then we get our grades.
Okay, well, that's definitely that's a little different from us. It's more like track and field. If you guys think about it, it's a little like track and field tests, like 400 meters, 800 meters. They might do something similar to that. I think I heard something from my mom that's something similar to that. But anyway, guys, sorry about that. A little bit of a delay. And we kind of went over you know, over time, but we usually do. So again, thank you all for coming. No more questions, I'm guessing, but yeah. So, you know, thanks to all the guest speakers for coming here. Thanks to all the students for participating and you know, being so constructive and asking questions and you know, keeping your minds open. Hopefully this gave you a little bit more insight on, you know, people's experiences around, like, between, you know, North America, including Canada and America, and China. So I hope you guys have a good New Year. Hope you have a good evening leading up to the New Year. Enjoy the New Year earlier than us. And I know my audio just cut out, but you guys heard most of it. So I'll see you guys. Thanks for participating. And yeah,
Bye.
bye.
Happy New Year.
Yep.
Bye. Happy New Year, everyone.